The fusion that you spoke about,
Yes.
that's being driven out of India, and that is one huge, that is why you see the opportunity to leverage the understanding of India, leverage the talent that we have in India.
Yeah, our R&D teams here in India are working on our fusion processors, absolutely, and as I said, the future and the core of the company is fusion, and I think it's great that our teams here in India are participating in creating that future.
So beyond that 10% of the workforce, are you looking at a number beyond that as well? Investments in India?
Yeah, I would, certainly the answer is yes, and what I would say is this: as we continue to grow as a company, I fully expect that our growth will be disproportionate in India, and I say that both from a revenue and an employment perspective, certainly.
Can we put a number on that?
Number on it, but I think the momentum is very positive.
Okay, and also for the other, now that you've mentioned about the number going, it's a positive direction. Do we also see more number of design centers beyond what you have?
In the near term, I think what we'll focus on is expanding the employment in the centers that we have. Over time, I would expect to expand the geographic footprint here within the country as well, but that would be more too.
Mm-hmm. The services part of it, now that governments and the spending that governments do, that's becoming very important because of the difficult times that we are in, and we're looking at governments also. In India, we see a government focusing on the governance issue, reaching out to the masses.
Yep.
How important is the role played by government spending for you, and how are you looking that to drive AMD's business here?
Well, first, that is an important segment of the IT sector worldwide, but especially here in India. And that's a segment, frankly, where I feel like we've not participated as fully as we should and could. One of the things that we encounter, as an example, is that AMD, well, as a result of being perhaps less well known, is often not allowed to participate in big government tenders. In other words, these government tenders specify Intel as the sole technology basis for computer procurement.
So is that good work by Intel, or maybe not enough brand awareness by AMD?
I think it's really just legacy. Frankly, I don't think there's anything malicious here. In our experience, when we talk to government officials and tell them about the fact that there is choice available technologically, and remind them that competition is good, that it ensures that the best prices are achieved, that it fuels innovation, we find that the tenders open up to us in general. But we've still got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of government agencies that are issuing tenders, and I think it's going to be a long time unless we get some help before we're able to fully participate in the government IT market here in the country.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about? Does the global part that you have, the global chip market that you have, do you look at, are you expecting a larger share than what you have globally against Intel? Because
here in the country? Well, the fact is, today in India, our share is actually lower than the average, and our participation in government bids is actually lower than it is on a worldwide basis. And I think there's an opportunity. That means that we have an opportunity here in India to grow a bit faster, and I think, likewise, the economy and the governments here can certainly benefit by introducing more competition. It's good for everybody.
So what have you told, when you meet the top government officials, what have you told them exactly? Because I agree with your point of competition, but the point is that it should also match up the need of what the government wants to do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We don't want to be, as a technology provider, someone who pushes technology or pushes our view. We're here to understand the needs of, in this case, the government, and figure out how to best satisfy those needs. But again, it all comes down to competition. If there's only one source of supply, you can't be assured that you're getting the best solution, and that's the basis of the conversation that we have.
Because of the kind of population that India is, when you travel around to different places, India, with the kind of an economy that we have, which is growing pretty rapidly, even in a slowdown, we were at about 5.6% growing last year, in a year which was globally not very good. What changes can tech drive, technology and enabling technology drive for the country, and how can it help the economy grow faster? Have you been able to drive home that point?
Yeah, to me it's simple, and it goes back to people. At the end of the day, people are the base for economic health in a country, and an educated population, and a population that's technologically savvy, I think is fundamentally important to driving economic productivity.
Some years ago, I was speaking to Carly Fiorina when she was at HP, and a term she used that caught my attention, and I still haven't forgotten the term. She said 4B, business to the 4 billion
Right.
who don't have access
That's right.
to technology. But still, from the technology standpoint, it looks like we're still some distance away, although my question would have been some maybe 7-8 years ago with her. Is the industry too focused on technology part of it, and the solutions are not coming out for a country like India, which could ultimately be replicated even in a place like Africa?
You know, I think certainly the computer industry and the PC industry is at various times characterized as being, a technology push orientation versus, developing pull. I would say, though, that over the last 5 years things have changed, and that the conversation inside our industry has changed such that we all collectively recognize the untapped potential of the so-called I think it's more like 5 billion as a market, and also the social good that we can do by enabling those people through the transformational power of the internet. And we're starting to see some material changes in some countries. So, example, China just kicked off this year a rural PC program, which is having pretty good uptake in Western China and connecting people to the internet in ways that they weren't before.
So programs like this are required here, because India is really more than one market. There are several language issues in India. There are several languages to be taken care of, and it's not just an English-speaking or a Hindi-speaking market.
Understood, and it's a complicated problem and not one that I could, be able to profess a complete answer to. What I can say is there's some basic infrastructure that I think can be quite helpful. So, example, wireless broadband as a technology I think can be very helpful for making the internet more available, as well as enabling through partnerships lower and lower cost internet endpoints. So it's a big problem, it's a hard problem, but I think as we team together as an industry with governments, it's one we can certainly address.
Dirk, let me take another break. When we come back, there's lots more to talk about with the President and CEO of AMD. A little bit, let's talk about your partnership with the vendors, your OEM partners in India. That's Wipro, HCL, I believe, both of them up. How are we looking to drive that change in case you really want to go down that road?
Well, as you said, we do enjoy partnerships with both and Wipro in the country, as well as with multinational OEMs who do substantial here in India. What we try to do with customers here in India is the same thing we try to do everywhere, which is not treat all of our customers the same, but understand each customer's strategies, both from a product perspective and a go-to-market perspective, and then have a conversation of the form, hey, what can we do to help you differentiate yourself given your strategy? And the answer is different customer to customer, but that's our general approach.
But would you be in a position, say, if there are specific initiatives that you'd want to make sure that, again, the multiple markets in India, and when I say multiple, it's within inverted commas, that multiple markets in India are addressed where it's not exactly the same as doing in a country which has just one language.
Yes, clearly the approach would be different to the market. So yes. Okay.
So if you were to take a slightly broader term, slightly look back and a little bit of advice, or if the word advice, what should the government now be doing? Because we seem to be slightly lacking behind with WiMAX or the wireless technology, wireless broadband. Broadband numbers in India are not very good, just a few million. Something which is in a nation for a billion people, very little. What would you advise the government to do to make sure this is driven up rapidly?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to get wireless broadband access proliferated across the company. And my understanding, there's some delays around licensing the spectrum. I think that's critical. I think wireless is clearly the way to connect people to the internet most quickly, as opposed to pulling wires everywhere. And it's really important, I think, for 3G technology to roll out across the country. And frankly, in many parts of the world, we're talking about 4G technology just around the corner. There'll be some implementations, at the end of this year. So I think that's the most important thing from an infrastructure perspective. the devices will follow.